Hello. Having recently finished with my Tashkent on El Gringo, I actually realized I had enough XP to buy the Udaloi, which is of course the follow-up. Now the Udaloi was always a DD that I quite enjoyed. The ship is mostly stock though. I think I free XP the range upgrade, but everything else on the ship is stock. I have the stock HP, the stock torps. I don't have the improved guns, which I kind of really want. The detectability is of course 7.5, and I'm running still the same spec that I ran on the Tashkent. I'll go over that at the end. But ultimately, of course, you gain a significant amount of concealment going from the Tashkent to the Udaloi, which is of course one of the reasons why I enjoyed it. You go from like something 8 point something on the Tashkent to 7.5 on the Udaloi. That's without using concealment expert, because I of course go for my 3x4 build on Russian DDs. So the stealth is very nice on the ship. Of course, you also get to get the 3 million upgrade. So even though on paper the guns look the same as the Tashkent guns, reload wise that is, you of course get the 12% reload perk from the gun upgrade, which means that you actually have a significantly more DPM than you did before. So ultimately, of course, I spawned at D, but when you get to these higher tier Russian DDs, you don't want to be the first guy into a cap. You want to be the guy who backs up your buddies when they are capping. So yes, you won't get the same type of cap XP stuff, but you're not even supposed to, because, well, you make it up for, well, hopefully killing DDs, damaging enemy DDs and such. So no, I completely skipped D and I instead went to A to help out this Kagero. Now of course I see the gearing is going to D, so it might have been an option, but he moved so late, he was AFK for such a long time, that ultimately I'll just stand by this current decision. The torps are still stock torps, the ones I had on the Tashkent. They are 8km I think. They are so slow that I'm already throwing them out now, since they'll have time to catch up. Spot the Hipper, move into Kagero smoke. Of course the very same type of smoke scavenging that I do on many other DDs is especially good on Russian DDs, because, well, you're so fast and you constantly want to be shooting, so any smoke you can move into is of course brilliant. Now let's see, oh, he charges closer and uses Hydra. That means I'm gonna speed up and just create some more distance. There's no need to panic and move out of this smoke. I'm just moving out of his Hydra range. There's only so far he can, or only so close he can get without showing himself. And this is where you start the usual Udaloi stuff. Now, of course, Udaloi, if you get broadsides, the AP is of course incredibly strong on this ship, but considering I run Demolition Expert, the bread and butter is honestly going to come from fire damage. HE and of course mostly fire damage, since we're shooting battleships. If they get broadside, then, well, yes, AP is going to melt them, but ultimately you want to be working on this big strong BBs with by getting a lot of fires burning on them. Our team isn't too eager to push in or move in general, which is of course a bit of a shame. See, here we see Hipper showing broadside, instantly switch to AP here. One HE volley and then it's straight up to AP. And of course, against any sort of broadsides, you do a lot of damage with this ship. Looks like the smoke is fading. Oh, he started. I think he just moved, he reversed the torp. I guess he thought he could reach me, but of course Hipper only has 3km range. I pop my own smoke to keep myself covered, as the Kagero smoke is running out. Destroyed his torp tubes, but he's gonna get away. Switching back to HE and starting work on these battleships again. Now, the main reason I launched these torps, well, not so much the damage, because these torps don't really hit very hard, and they're so slow. But if you do get a hit, that's of course flooding, which means this Yamato has now used his repair, or he will be forced to use his repair. There we go, he repaired it since he can't take a full flooding. So now I know he's going to be my primary target. That automatically makes him my absolute primary target, the fact that I know that he has used the repair. And just like when you play cruiser, if you see someone burn a repair, you start focusing him. Unlike the Tashkent, which can spam all three torps or all three torpedo loaders in the same direction, the Udaloi has a bit of a weird setup where it has torps on both sides, much like the Mayhem. But when you upgrade them, you actually get 3x5 launchers. I don't have that yet though, which would have been very nice to have right now. Probably would have bumped up my damage significantly as I could launch so many more torps. But whatever. This is my first look at the ship in a long time, so I'll deal with what I have. My smoke runs out, I pop speed boost, and I just start kiting away. Still want to focus this Yamato, but looks like I'm not having the best RNG in getting any fires on him. In fact, looks like I'm not having any RNG in getting any fires on him. So it looks like he's going to be able to reverse out scot-free. It doesn't help that as you can look at my teammates, you see the two Friedrich der Grosses and the North Carolina, they are all reversing away. They're all reversing away from the opponent. Well, I get to fire on the Friedrich der Grosse, I'll take it. I'll harass him for now. HE, of course, against German battleships is quite nice because they have so much superstructure. And of course, if you hit the deck or the hull or such, your HE will do 0 damage because, well, the armor will just absorb it. But if you hit the superstructure like I'm doing here, then you actually do a nice chunk of HE damage as well as, of course, the potential fires. That's why I in general like shooting stuff like Friedrich der Grosse or Grosse Kurfürst and these German BBs in general. There we go, 2 fires after he's used his repair. So he is basically cooking at this point, so I'm going to start focusing on other stuff. There's an Udaloi who might be using that smoke, throw some torps that way. I'm not too sparing with these torps, you see me use them all the time, I throw them out left, right and center, which is why I kind of really would like to have my upgraded torpedoes. But hey, this is my first game in the ship, so beggars can't be choosers. Are they actually going to finish this Friedrich der Grosse? It looks like they're pretty focused. Well, the only one who seems to be pushing is this Yamato. The rest of these, the Friedrich der Grosses are full HP, but they're still hiding really far back. This Fnella guy requested support, so I'm just telling him to chill. Yeah, I'm gonna use my smoke. I was planning on smoking up anyway, but of course, if you see a battleship who could benefit from your smoke, if you're planning on using it anyway and you see a battleship who could benefit from it, why not take the detour and go help him out, since it will most likely save his life. This guy's down to 20k, he's being focused by everyone because of course all the other battleships are still fleeing. So I push in here and I smoke him up on the way. This way he gets a chance to heal up and recover some HP. And it really is not a big deal for me. This is why I always wonder why not more DDs do this. Why don't you help out your fellow battleships or, well, any ships that are in trouble? I mean, if you're planning on smoking up, taking a few seconds to look around to see if someone else could also benefit from it isn't that big of a deal. And I give him the timer so he knows how long he can actually use my smoke. That way, if he looks at the time top right, he'll know when he needs to start moving to get out of there, which will hopefully let him get out of there alive. We'll see about that. Yamato has returned. I instantly got a fire on him. He is giving a lot of broadside. I switch to AP as I see that broadside. Oh, these are Udaloi torps. Of course, he has the upgraded. He's fully upgraded Udaloi, so he has the better torpedo launchers and everything. I move out of the smoke to get a peek where he is. Nice. Switch back to HE and I reverse into the smoke. He's shot now, which means he's detected, so hopefully by shooting at him I will force him to pop his smoke. I ate a bit more damage than a lot more damage than I would have liked there, but I'm still harassing him and ultimately I forced him to pop his smoke, which is what I wanted. And I did a lot of damage to him as well. Now that he's popped his smoke, of course, now I know he will most likely be fairly stationary in the smoke. So I am going to torpedo where I see his shells coming from. There we go. He's giving us a nice indication of exactly where he is. Launching some torps, I'm moving out as the smoke has faded. I'm not shooting yet until I can get some distance and I'm basically moving away from them. Now these two Friedrich der Grosses have been reversing this entire game. The North Carolina is still running away, whereas the Yamato is, well, all these battleships have basically abandoned this Yamato here. Had they pushed it together with him and actually made something happen, considering how low many of these opponents were, they might have made something happen, but sadly no. Somehow the other side of the map managed also to lose, considering we are facing, what, 8 ships here, and they had a numerical advantage on the other side. That's a bit surprising. The torps I launched, 2 of them actually hit, I'm thinking if both hit the Udaloi, he would have died, so probably only one of them hit the Udaloi. The Yamato thanks me, but there was only so much I could do for him. He's dead now. But I get to burning. Of course, I unlocked Wither there, which is 60,000 fire or flooding damage, which is always nice. They did manage to get the cap, because once again, these guys with me, they're not making any sort of effort really of helping to defend this cap. I'm extremely low now, so I'm focusing on kiting a fair amount of distance away. There's the Udaloi, he's so low. Yeah, he definitively ate one of my torpedoes. So I've done a lot of work here, but sadly, well, this is kind of the issue with a lot of these very campy battleships. Let's see, this is when he decides to push in. And they both decide to push in now. And they are so late in their decision making. They should have been pushing in five minutes ago, at least. Probably more than that they should have been pushing in. But instead they waited so incredibly long that, well, we are outnumbered because our numbers have been taken down by the time they spent camping. Instead of the team being forced to focus on multiple targets, the team just picked off the one by one, the few guys that actually tried to make an effort. So these guys are very late to the show, so it's going to be hard for them to make any sort of effort anymore, because now they are heavily outnumbered. I picked the Montana as my target, as is the closest one. Big, large target that could be could be an issue for these two. And of course, you synergize fairly well with their secondaries, because, well, if you force the repair, their secondaries can start fires and so forth. So I'm obviously just spamming more HE on them. And this is very much a fundamental playstyle of the Udaloi and of the Khabarovsk as well. A lot of HE spam, keeping your distance. Of course, for some reason you have significantly less range on the Khabarovsk, which is something I'm not really that big of a fan of, because, well, going to the Khabarovsk after playing the Udaloi, honestly, it doesn't feel like much of an upgrade. Sure, you gain additional guns, but when your range goes from 14.6 to 13.5, it's hard to not feel like you're downgrading, and your concealment drops a huge amount as well. So honestly, after the nerfs to the Khabarovsk, I'm getting kind of the old Fletcher versus Gearing vibe, where the Fletcher felt better to play than the Gearing does. And even though this was just my first game in the Udaloi, already I had forgotten just how great this ship was. And now when you really get to experience it, and since I've been playing a fair amount of Khabarovsk lately, this ship really does feel so good compared to it. Now I launched torps from behind friendly lines, something I don't usually recommend, but in this case there was no reason for my teammate to turn hard right here. Turning hard right would have been basically got him in absolutely certainly killed, since there's a Yamato in front of him. Hence why I was fairly confident in sending those torps. None of them hit, of course, but he did his hard turn right now for some reason. I have no idea why he's turned afterwards. I guess he's focusing on the Bismarck, but he's giving up the broadside to the Yamato, which means he's eating massive damage, and he gets instantly killed. He also gave broadside to the Hindenburg, so he angled against the Bismarck to give broadside to the two most dangerous ships on the enemy's team. A questionable decision, one might say. I'm gonna see if I can push up and get something more done. I mean, my damage... Oh, the game ended before I could do anything more than this. But the Udaloi, well, let's see, what did I do? I did 221,000 damage, only 3 torp hits, but then again, I don't have the upgraded ones. A lot of damage, and I mean, I topped the score, but you can see, oh, they were division, those Friedrich, that's why we're playing so passively. Damage-wise, 111k fire and flooding. I mean, the ship is still great, absolutely, no doubt. The Udaloi is still a fantastic ship. Might as well go over my Udaloi build real quick. Of course, the only thing I've upgraded is the range upgrade, since that's the only thing I could afford. Or well, I could get the other, but I didn't feel like wasting 40k free XP. Next thing I'll get is definitely the hull upgrade, then I'll get the gun upgrade, followed finally by the torpedo upgrade. Guns are of course your bread and butter, so those always take priority. But yeah, the range upgrade is of course the priority if you're just unlocking the Udaloi, because you saw how much I spammed them from range, and that's exactly what you want to be doing in this ship. So consumable wise, if you're gonna run one thing premium, run the smoke. Main armaments mod 1, aiming system mod 1, main battery mod 3, that's the faster reload. propulsion mod so you don't lose engine, steering gears for that rudder shift, and finally stealth. And on this ship you can actually get great stealth. That is a 3 million upgrade is of course the only thing that's changing really from the Tashkent regarding the build. Captain perks wise, exactly the same as the Tashkent, basic firing, last stand, vigilance, demolition expert, AFT. AFT of course here is the priority, you pick AFT first because you need range, then you get demolition expert. And of course at this point you're saving up for the HP buff. Anyway, that was my Udaloi commentary. I'll probably make a better one and hopefully with a bit better results as well once I get the ship fully upgraded, but it is a pretty damn good ship. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys later.